Hi, my name is Jessica Rosenstrau, and this is EDL 856's case study, New Role for the Parents Organization. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So, summary of what is going on. So, I am the principal, just found out that the newly founded Parents Committee wants to have a series of back to school information / meetings, as well as parent teacher conferences. On top of that, they've established various committees on analyzing the discipline, teacher performance, curriculum, and total school evaluation, where they plan to collect data and issue policy statements on the need for change. All right, so let's first look at legal and ethical, if this is even possible. So, looking at this, so I broke this down into first legal, and then I'll talk ethical. So legal issues that I see are, first of all, they're wanting to do more back to school nights, information sessions, as well as hold more parent teacher conferences after hours. So teachers have contracted hours. We all sign contracts at the beginning of the school year when we get hired to a new building, or normally it's in the late spring of the year before. So our teachers have contracts. And so adding all of these extra hours after work, I'm not sure if that's quite legal or not. The school follows the district calendar. And so districts publish those calendars at least a year prior. And the school board is who creates the parent-teacher conference times. And so those have already been published and put out to the public. And so asking them to change that is going against what's on the school calendar. Also looking at this, we have policies and procedures in place at the school board level, which are following the state's policies. And so we need to make sure we're following the policies and procedures, not only of our school board, but put out from the state board as well. Then they mentioned looking at discipline. And so that's kind of walking a fine line on I need to delve more into this because, we have FERPA, which is family education, Family Education Rights and Privacy Act. And basically, it protects the students' privacy, as well as allows parents to see their child's education records, but it's protecting the children as well. And so we need to find out what exactly they're looking at when it comes to discipline. You also have Every Student Succeeds Act, which has under Title I, the schools notify parents of teacher qualifications. So we send a letter out telling parents, you can ask for your teacher's qualifications if you wish for, but going along that teacher evaluations, I don't know if that's legal or not. I don't know if that's invading the teacher's privacy. And in the state of Colorado, we have parent involvement and parent advisory committees that are very active. We also have the State Advisory Council for Parent Involvement in Education. And legally in Colorado, every district has to have a district accountability committee, and every school must have a school accountability committee. So I would definitely need to get with the superintendent as well as the district's lawyers and see if what they're even asking to do is possible, or if we're kind of walking into a gray or crossing a line in some of these areas that they're wanting to do. Now let's talk about ethical. So ethical issues. So is this right or wrong? So so more than likely I'm assuming from this, it's in the fall. So normally back to school night happens fairly quickly in a building. And so you're looking at the beginning of the school year, probably August, maybe beginning of August. And usually back to school nights happen by the beginning of September, if not sooner. So asking us to change the back to school night when teachers have already put in the work, put in the time, as well as parents have already marked it on their calendars, that's ethically, is that okay? Looking at my teachers and my staff, where all of a sudden, instead of having one back to school night, we have multiple back to school nights where we're delving into the curriculum more. All of a sudden, this is more work for them, and not only, like I said before, legally breach of contract, but it's also breaking the trust with my teachers. I have, a relationship with them, and part of having a relationship as an administrator is taking care of your staff and your faculty. And this is all of a sudden now I'm asking them to do more work and take more time after school hours to provide information. That's something that needs to be discussed, I feel like, as an entire school, not just me making that decision. Ethically, that's just me. Again, it kind of goes along keeping the peace between faculty and parents. I'm walking a fine line here. I want my parents involved. At the same time, I want my faculty to trust me and know I'm doing what's best for them, as well as our students, of course. And then again, it's that school accountability committee that in the state of Colorado we have to have in our building. Are we stepping on their toes? Because a lot of the things they're bringing up would fall under the school accountability committee, because that committee works with bringing up concerns and issues with our building, trying to find ways to fix those, and then taking it up to the district level and working with the school board to create and fix some concerns and issues they see there. So again, that's kind of encroaching on the school accountability committee. So those are kind of the legal and ethical issues I see in that's come up. So now let's go into, let's look back really quickly at what is, let's see, okay, taken. All right, let me see if I can put it down here. Okay, we're just going to keep it up there. Okay, so exactly what's happened. So the newly formed Parents Committee of my school has taken an initiative to create subcommittees in various aspects of the school to be more involved in the decision and policy making processes of our school, beginning with changing the entire back to school event into a multi-day informative sessions, alongside holding parent-teacher conferences at the same time. So what do we know and what do we not know? All right, so let's first start with people and what we know. So far, I know I am a principal. I'm the principal at this school. I've been there at least 2 years because I was there in the spring when they disbanded from the PTA, and I'm back again this fall. So 2 years at least. The parents organization is newly formed. They formed last spring. They disassociated with the PTA, and in the spring when they reformed and they decided and they elected members in roles, elected members into different roles and stuff. Their focus was wanting more involvement. They wanted more involvement with the parents as well as the community. So that was kind of the focus. And then from this meeting, we've learned that the president is a young lawyer. And I said he's a little forward. And the reason I said this is in the middle of the meeting, I posed a question to him and he ignored it and kept going on. And so I called him a little forward on that one. So what we don't know. So I don't know the size of this parent organization. How many parents are we talking about? Who are the representatives of this group? Are they all good friends, or is it a diverse group of people? I don't know anything about my staff. I don't know my staff size. I don't know how many teachers at every grade. I know nothing about really the people that work at my school from this. I don't know the thoughts of the other parents and their involvement. How huge is this parent organization? And then, when I asked the question, what was that question? So that's kind of the unknown, just focusing solely on the people. Then let's look at the place. So we have here, the parents are, so we have a school. It's obviously taking place in a school. Parents are involved in wanting more participation from other families in the community. What we don't know about this, we do not know the size of the building, the school, this town, the community. We don't know the demographics of this community, the location. Is it in a suburb? Is it rural? Is it an elementary school, junior high school, high school? And the involvement of the district. Is this district very involved in their buildings? And what about their policies? So there's a lot of unknowns here looking at just the place. And then the program. So looking at the program. So we know that the parents were unhappy with the PTA, and so they dissolved it and created their own organization. They were frustrated in the spring over the lack of involvement, participation in involvement with the parents and the community. I know that they have an annual back to school night program, and that they're requesting that we have back to school meetings with parent teacher conferences. And it said during American Education Week, which this past year was held November 16th through the 20th. So when you're talking back to school and talking about parent teacher conferences, they don't usually align around the same time. So that's why I added that in there. The unknowns. So I don't know the school district's policy on back to school nights, if they even have any. What's the policies on extra after school requirements for teacher and staff? Again, looking back at that contract. Do I have a school advisory council that's made up of myself and teachers within my building? And then, of course, that school and district accountability committees. Where are those? So that's kind of the unknowns, just looking at a whole on this. So I need to prioritize, excuse me, let me move this over here. I need to prioritize my information before I start looking at my options. So I need to think about this. So the first thing is that whatever the decision I make, it's going to affect my relationship with the parent organization. And in turn, if it affects my relationship with the parent organization, it's probably going to affect my the school's relationship with the community. So I'm walking a very fine line here. Staff, students, parents, community, and myself, we all hold an important stake in this outcome. And so right now you're looking at the parents of this organization as well as myself being involved in here. So as you can see, I'm missing a lot of the stakeholders in this discussion. The third thing I need to look at is district policies on the request. So they're making quite a few requests. What are the policies? Again, that goes back to that those legal issues. Am I doing what's correct? Am I abiding by our policies and procedures and laws? Fourth, I need to contact the superintendent and the district's lawyers. I need to, again, like following up from number 3, am I breaking any laws or policies? Then also I need to think about, is this the entire parent population feeling this, the need for all this change? Or is this just a small group of people and we can work with them and get them into different committees where they can have more of a voice? And then finally, do I have enough information to make a decision? So when I look back at all the unknowns that I don't know for this case study, I'm going to be honest and say I decided to look at my district in Colorado using Colorado state laws as well as my district's school policies. So I kind of went along those lines and thinking about it, if this were the school that I worked at, so that those demographics of students. So when I made up my options, I decided to say that this is an elementary school, population over close to 1,000 students. So huge parent population and highly involved parents. And so that's kind of when I go for here and talking about my options, that's what I looked at. So let's go ahead and look at the options I chose. So let me move this out of the way. Excuse me. Okay, so my options. So the first option is I take no action. I totally tell them no, shut them down on everything, and keep going status quo, what we planned the rest of the time. The second option is to implement all their requests. So they gave me all this information they want, all these things they want to change and put in place, and I do all of it. The third is I look at them, I look at the different things they'd like to change, and I implement some, but not all of them. And then finally, instead of implementing immediately, I create committees made up of all those stakeholders that I talked about earlier. So, and then from there, we move forward. So let's delve a little bit further into each of these and look at the pros and cons of each of these. So let's start with option one, doing nothing. So I tell the parents, thank you for your time, but no, we're not going to be implementing those changes this year. The pros on this is my back to school event stays on. I'm doing parent teacher conferences along with the district and in line with them, and my teachers are not upset or involved in any of these discussions. The cons, I'm not working with the parent organization, so I'm not engaging with them. I'm not collaborating with them. I'm not trying to cultivate a relationship with them. So that's going to hurt them and upset them and fire them up, in which it's probably going to hurt the community because it's going to come out that I'm not willing to work with them and everything. And all of that leads back to hurting my student success and my school climate. And like I said, there's no collaboration or cultivation going on here. So those are the cons. So then let's look at implementing everything. So I go to the opposite extreme and I say, okay, I love all your suggestions. We're going to implement them. Boom. So I'm engaging with the parents, which are key, this parent organization, which are key players in the success of my building. I'm not upsetting them, at least this parent organization. And I'm creating a bond with them, if you will. The cons are I'm upsetting my staff because all of a sudden now they're going to be having to work more. They're going to have to redo whatever they planned for back to school now is totally changing. Instead of having one back to school night, now they've got multiple nights. They're going to have to be present for. They're going to have to be working longer hours, having parent teacher conferences, more. So just a lot more work on that. I'm not working collaboratively. So I may be giving the parent organization what they want, but that's not working collaboratively. We're not pulling in all people into this discussion. I'm not pulling in my staff and teachers to sit down and have a discussion with the parents to improve. You know, the key is school improvement and school success, improving those. And so this is not doing that. And then again, is it legal? Because again, the teachers are working a lot more hours after school. So I need to look into that. Option 3. So I implement some, but not all. So for instance, I can implement the back to school idea, but not all the committees. So in one way, I am working collaboratively with them. By that, I'm trying to build trust with this organization. So perhaps we come up with an idea of how to do a back to school. Maybe it's not multiple nights, maybe it's one night, but instead of the teachers just presenting their children's, their class schedule, instead it is delving into the curriculum a little bit more and giving ideas for the way parents can, what useful tools parents can do at home. Along those lines. So here's some ideas and activities you can do at home to help strengthen, your child's math or your child's reading, things like that. And delving a little bit more into the curriculum, but maybe telling them, let's hold off on the committees this year. So again, I may be upsetting my staff because if they already had their back to school night planned, I'm changing it slightly. So they're going to have to do a little bit more work. not including all parties to better school improvement and student success. I'm making a decision before talking to my staff about it and getting their input. So again, that's not including all parties. The parents are probably going to be unhappy. Those subcommittees that were all about the discipline and teacher evaluations and all of that, they may be unhappy that we're not looking into that this year. And then I'm also thinking along this, am I getting the full picture here? Am I getting all the parents' feelings? And again, another con is this legal? Doing more back to school nights or having more evening events. So again, walking fine line here. And then option 4 is working with the group to form committees comprised of the staff, community, students, and parents. The pros on this are working collaboratively with all stakeholders, and that, pulling in everybody to work with this, building trust within all the groups. So by incorporating all of them and trying to engage all of them to come together and work together, I'm working on building trust within all these groups. To me, it's ethical and legal because I'm not asking my staff to work extra after hours for multiple nights or doing extra parent-teacher conferences. And to me, it's kind of the right thing to do. I need to pull in more staff. So ethically, in my opinion, it's ethical. And it's also creating a balance between all the stakeholders. So they're all getting an input versus one organization being the voice. Upsetting, the cons are, it's probably going to upset the parents. This organization came in ready for change, ready gung-ho, and we're going to have to take a step back and form these committees, and that's going to take time. I also worry about time and commitment concerns. My staff has lives outside the school building, and so what I'm asking them to do may infringe on their time off, and so they have to decide if that's a commitment they want to make or not. And there may be some pushback from various groups. The staff may not be willing to have a committee looking at teacher evaluations and things like that. So what I chose. So looking at all of these, what did I choose to do? So I chose option 4 for several reasons. So I really feel that it really allows for communication across all the groups. It allows for all the stakeholders to have a say in the committees, in the issues that these parent organizations are worried about. They are all involved. I really truly believe communication is key to a school's success. And in this case, there needs to be communication going on with all parties involved. I also believe parent involvement and engagement is critical to student success. And so we really want these parents to be involved. We really want them to be engaged, but in a way that it promotes student success and improves the school overall. I also think I need to, look at my advisory council, which is the staff and myself, a few members of the staff and myself, and really come up with a plan, and pulling in my staff for that, my advisory council. Like I said before, the district and school accountability committees, they're in Colorado. We have to have them legally. We have to have them in all of our buildings. And so to me, some of the concerns and issues that were brought up in the meeting with me, that would fall under the school accountability committee, not the parent organization. And so perhaps that's the way to kind of lead those parents that want to be more involved, pushing them into that committee where the parent organization can focus on other things. And I really need time to be able to collect more data, especially that legal piece, and looking at the district policies and informing all the different parties involved. And I also really want to take a survey of the parents to see if this is just a small group or if this is a large group that is feeling this. So how would I go about doing this? So, excuse me while I move myself back up. Okay, so, all right, so some things. So first of all, to begin, you're sitting at this meeting with these parents, and they're very excited, and they've come up with these great ideas. You don't want to squash them, and you do not want to burn bridges. So I would thank them and applaud them for being so proactive and coming up with some great ideas and some thinking. Again, that student success is tied to parent involvement and support. And so we've got some supportive parents. That's awesome. That's going to help bring our student success rate up. I would probably pose the question about, or ask, kind of prompt, what brought on these decisions, this wanting to change back to school, creating these committees. What's your end goal? And I probably would bring up that, in the spring, the feedback I got from the meetings was parent involvement and community involvement. And what led to the change this fall into being doing the parent involvement in the community? How does that relate to more back to school nights, more parent teacher conferences, analyzing discipline, teacher evaluation, curriculum? How do those categories, or areas, how does that link with parent involvement and community involvement? I kind of need to see how those two link up. And so I think a discussion between these representatives and myself needs to happen. And what is their end goal? What do they really want to achieve as a parent organization? I would tell them that I think, some of these are really great ideas, but we just need to delve further into them. I, as the administrator, need to delve into them. I need to look more into the back to school nights, parent teacher conferences, these committees, and pull in the school accountability committee and get them working on, some of this. I also definitely need to have a discussion with the superintendent and the district lawyers to make sure we're okay. I would also work with my tech on creating a survey to put out to my students, the staff, and the families about school climate and areas of concern, to see if they all feel this way, or if this is, again, just a select few parents that are really wanting to be more involved, which we love. But is this a whole? Before we start going and making all these changes, does everybody else feel this way? I would definitely have to let my staff know of these committees, and looking for volunteers if we go that route, if we decide to make these committees. Invite the community members in, as well as make sure all family members know about these different committees, know about these different information nights and stuff like that. And again, work with this parent organization and set up different committees in areas of concern. And the areas of concern, while it might be those 4 that they brought up, it might be something totally different that we found from the survey that we gave. So these are the ways I would implement this. So now, excuse me, some food for thought. So more than likely, this parent organization is not going to be happy with my with the time frame. But everything takes time, and it's going to take time to build that trust. Change is hard, and a lot of people don't like change. And it's going to take time to get this organization up and running smoothly. And so it's going to take a lot of collaboration and a lot of work. The key to remember is it's the student success. We're looking at optimizing student success and improving our school. And so, to me, creating a goal with this organization, what's the end outcome that we're wanting? What do we want? And working on striving toward that goal. So at the last spring, we wanted parent involvement, more community involvement. Okay, well, there's one way to go about doing that versus coming in and creating all these committees and changing policies within our school that are focused more on our staff and students. So looking at what exactly is their goal and what is the outcome. And then remembering that the district has policies in place for parent involvement, and we must be following the local education agencies, which is our school board, and the state education agencies, CDE, to make Colorado Department of Education, to make sure we're following the policies and procedures that they have in place. And I found all my information. So I didn't quote anything in here, but this is where different articles, different sites that I looked at that kind of educated me about my state, as well as ideas for parent involvement and things like that that we've read over the course of this class. And then also looking at, the Colorado Department of Education has different links for, their parent family community partnership, and the school and district accountability committees, as well as qualifications under ESSA. And here's a little few more of my references. Of course, I quoted I didn't quote, excuse me, but I researched what Lewis Palmer's parent engagement in education is from our policies. So thank you very much. Have a good day.